the contact sheets, and I really don't see it. I really don't see it, so for the rest of the day, I literally was about to pull the plug on my career. I was like, finally got to the best art director, did a good job, I thought, boom. And he was saying that the stuff was not. 3/4 of the way through the day, I got another phone call from the same art director, and he says, I was showing this to my art director. I was showing him the contact sheets, and he says, he thinks he can work with it.
Yeah.
That was sort of like a reprieve a little bit, but still I was like, the pit of my stomach, I was like, we won a magazine award for that article and those photographs.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
If I had listened to that guy, so you really have to really take your own counsel and really push through. We have to constantly, good constructive criticism is really what we need. But when you hear that kind of what was in his head, I have no idea, and I'm still in the business.
The amazing thing is you tell that story, and this is something I did not really get for a long time, that even the best of clients, the people that we hold up on these, put up on these huge pedestals, are human beings. And they can get up and have a bad cup of coffee or breakfast, or they could have just had an argument with their spouse, been in a bad traffic that day, or conversely, they could have hit all the lights on green. Everything is wonderful. And all of those things have an impact on how work is viewed or read or just perceived. And on a different day, or after lunch, it might be perceived entirely different.
That's right.
They're human beings, and we put our fate, we put our hearts, our souls, our lives in the hands of other people, as opposed to, as you said, taking our own counsel and stepping back and going, okay, did this really blow up?
Yeah,
just give it a little bit.
Well, I do. I talk to, again, when I'm asked to lecture about, making a career, I often say that being human, that having clay feet, that being in a bad mood is really stuff. And my assistants, the students, they don't get that you are not, as a freelancer, you're really not allowed to have a bad day. I know that sounds really, but in our business as a freelancer, I just wrote this to a teacher who's teaching. He asked me to write about something. I said, in our business, there are only A's and F's. So our client and the art director have the ability, we have to give them the freedom to be human. But as a freelancer, it's really very, very difficult. So we cannot blame our assistants. We cannot blame our art directors. We cannot blame the weather. We have to perform A or F. The client that's sitting in their office back in the comfort of New York high-rise with the air conditioning or heating care less that you're getting shot at in Guatemala. All they want is the pictures, and the excuses really do not matter. So it's really, you're absolutely right. They can be in a bad mood. We have to translate that, absorb it like Wonder Woman with her bracelets, parry all the bullets that are being shot at us, and produce.
That's right.
I always say to my cohorts that no matter what, it is never the way the client tells you it's going to be.
That's right. You
show up and the manager at the plant has no idea you're coming, where the client told you, they already know. The magazine tells you the ship is going to be in port, and the ship is nowhere to be found. They don't care. You've got to produce, and that's really part of the big thing with the dichotomy of what being a freelancer and what being really boots on the ground, being there, is all about.
Boy, is that the truth. It was interesting you say that. I was talking with a friend, and he had just run through that same kind of experience where he was showing up at on a site to photograph his architectural work, and he was told one thing, and when he arrived, the facility wasn't even ready. Wires were still hanging out of the wall. Furniture wasn't in place for the pool location.
That's right.
It literally wasn't even set up.
Right.
So he helped unload the truck, tried to set furniture in place, tried to get something, and it was dark before they could get stuff out. So he delivered what he could, and the client said, "This is not acceptable. You're just going to have to go back and reshoot it on your own dime because you didn't get it." And he's going, "Wait a minute. The furniture wasn't even there when I arrived. It was still on a truck coming in." Yeah, so this is a universal.
That's right.
Goes around.
That's right.
Those are a bunch of significant ahas. Has there ever been a time when you had a significant aha, kind of a flash of light insight that made a turning point in your life?
I know after all these many years, I just had one recently where we got this really wonderful project a couple of years ago, and it's been going on, and it's literally a skyscraper that they've erected in the middle of Boston. And the client came to us just for a very small little piece, just a little 3-4 month piece of when the project was beginning. And I told them that I was interested in the whole 60-story project. And so I hung in there, and I kept showing them pictures, and they let me do the whole thing. And when they topped this 60-story, and that's a year and a half, almost 2 years of work, my going there every week, being with the union workers, with the iron workers, with the pipe fitters, the whole thing, in the freezing, brutal winters that we've had in the last few years, hanging out with it. Finally, they topped off the building. And the client turned to me and said, "Oh my God, you've got all these pictures, you're showing all this." So they wanted to do a book. So they said, "Let's do a book and give a book to everybody, all our investors, all the people that, and give a book to every one of the workers that was, which is unprecedented." It was really, so, and I said, "Oh, that's a great," I was tickled like they were going to use my photographs. And then said, "Oh, but, we have a tight deadline." And I just went, "When do you, we're going to do it September." I think it was September the 17th, this past September. And I just went to myself, again, you can never blame the client. I said to him, "That's impossible to get a book done in that kind of time. No." And my studio took the whole thing on so we found an art director, we found a printer, we found all the people, we did the type, we did everything, and literally produced 750 books on time. And I stepped back. This was the aha moment. When those boxes of books were being handed out to those union workers, I went, we're not photographers. We're producers. The client didn't care that we had never done anything. They wanted a book on the table to present on time, and we did it inside the studio. I patted all my people on the back. I said, we're not photographers. I produced the pictures, but we produced a book.
Wow, that's right.
So those kind of aha moments really do resonate. I had a client, this was years ago, things that happened to you, client who I did several annual reports for. And then one day I came in and I think I was doing the Boston Ballet. This is how broad spectrum of things we worked on. The Boston Ballet's annual report, So he came back and he sent me out, and it had several. I think I shot for like 10 days off and on for I shot rehearsal, I shot performances, I shot classes, I shot, and I presented the work to him at the end. And the guy said, just sort of offhanded remark. He said, Lou, I send you out and I don't get any phone calls. I don't hear any complaints. He says, that's why I hire you. He says, I don't have to worry about all the fallout when I send you out. And I realized the aha moment was, yeah, hopefully I was producing good pictures, but the aha moment was I wasn't giving him concern. I was making it easy. So he was hiring me because I wasn't a pain in the butt.
Yes.
Is that, so I was talking about a little while ago about talent only being a small part of this. He was hiring me because I could deliver, and he had no dog in the fight up until the fact when the chromes hit his desk.
That's a wonderful story. I had something similar happen. I mean, my eyes were getting big as you were talking about that. I was working with a client that, and again, the pictures were not incredible images. They were pretty easy group portraits for a bank as they were buying banks and transitioning. And the photos were not that difficult. And there were good fees. Everything was wonderful. And at some point, at risk of even having this pop up and the art director question it, I asked, why do you hire me? Because these aren't that difficult an image to shoot. I mean, I realized he could hire other people, other photographers to do the images. But I was just curious because I did a lot of shooting for them, a lot. And he said, your images are good. They're solid. They're nice imagery. He said, what I appreciate is that you show up, you do everything, you leave, and I never get a phone call from anyone except possibly a compliment, oh, it went well, or if we check in, but there are no hassles.
That's right.
And that's what I need in my life.
That's right.
Are no hassles.
That's right.
And if you can provide me no hassles, we're buddies for a long time.
That's right.
And I was really excited because I thought, wonderful, I can do that. But my ego also took a big hit because I thought that has nothing to do with my skill or my eye or my techno. It's just that I don't go and screw things up.
That's right.
I don't drop F-bombs on people. I don't do things that are going to, really piss people off. Wow, what a skill. But that was an aha moment for me as well. That's at that right. point. So from that point on, I valued that if my clients value that, I should value that.
Oh, I actually, to be very truthful, have built on that.
Exactly.
We talk about that constructive criticism. So when you find out that what really makes this work is that if you're not a hassle to your client and that you can literally use that to enhance your career. So we have spent and we've gotten exactly those sort of memos or those phone calls that go back to the art director, go back to the client that say he was a pleasure to work with.
Not a small thing.
And it's enormous value in our business. The egos that artists and photographers bring to this business, that they think that their talent or their personality is so important. No. It's how well you work with people makes so much difference in advancing your career for a long time. You can be hot for a little while.
That's the truth.
But you can also burn out really quickly just being a jerk. So it's really, and so like I said, I find that those kind of criticisms of somebody saying something good and you go, the aha is, oh, that's how this really works. Let me use that to make this career better.
Yeah, that's something that's not taught in school. Students come out and people coming into the profession are all concerned about the work they show.
That's right.
Instead of those interpersonal skills that are so critical.
That's right.
I want to loop back to something you were talking about earlier, because you had a Facebook post last night as you were getting ready to leave San Francisco, because a lot of people look at a